though it is more creature dense than the average list. 4 copies of Seeker of the Way, 4 Goblin Rabblemaster, 4 Mantis Rider, an Ash Cloud Phoenix, a Hush Wing Griff, and 2 Stormbreath Dragons. So much more of a creature deck than a pure burn deck.
Magma Spray is going to take down Putney's Elvish Mystic right away. Don't want to allow him to ramp into his more powerful spells, and he will just pass the turn back after playing a Mountain on turn number 2. You saw Klomparens take 1, as that's a Battlefield Forge that she needed to use to play the Magma Spray. Magma Spray's looked good so far.
It's been great, and especially with the uptick in Ash Cloud Phoenix, as we've seen in the room so far. So how has Jadine made room for all these creatures? She's not playing Dig Through Time, so she's much more of a creature deck than a pure burn deck, and assuming their graveyard is not going to be as filled up.
There's a Goblin Rabblemaster. The trigger for the Goblin, it's an attack for 1. Klomparens is going to go down to 18, already under the gun right away now. Wants to get that thing off of the table. She even has them in her deck, so she knows exactly how powerful this card can be. And she'll play a Mantis Rider and come into the red zone here for 3. Putney's going to go down to 17.
So this is the one turn where you have to sweat it here. But if Braden cannot kill this Mantis Rider, then Jadine gets untapped, most likely can kill the Rabblemaster, and then have a pretty commanding board.
Temple of Abaddon here for Putney. Top card, he's going to give a little bit of a look. Does look like he have a couple more lands in his hand, I think, than he would like. He's got a Wooded Foothills and a forest hanging out over there. So we'll see what he wants to do with the top card here momentarily. Again, Klomparens shields her down after casting that Mantis Rider last turn. So this is an opportunity for Putney to really blow things open this game.
But if he fails this turn, he may not get another shot at it.
And taking a look at Putney's deck list, you know, he's got the Rabble-Masters, 3 of those, 3 Courser of Crewfix, 4 copies of Pelucranos, 3 Stormbreath Dragons, 2 copies of Arbor Colossus. He's got removal, as here's another Rabble-Master, and 4 Lightning Strikes, 2 Stoke the Flames, and 2 copies of Crater Claws.
So if Braden can't kill the Mantis Rider, this may be the next best thing, which this may just force Jadine's hand on a block.
Now, of course, one of those Rabble-Masters will not be allowed to attack. It does not have haste. But here is an attack, and of course the Rabble-Master that is attacking is a 5-power creature. So Jadine has the option of trading her Mantis Rider with the Rabble-Master that's attacking, or just eating one of these Goblin tokens.
And a lot of this just has to do with exactly how is Jadine's hand composed. I could see blocking a token or blocking a Rabble-Master being correct, depending.
And she's going to trade with the Rabble-Master, so 3 damage is going to come across. Klomparens will go a little bit lower, down to 14, as she will draw a card for the turn. There is a land as a Flooded Strand, but she's certainly in some trouble here. She's going to need a removal spell for that Rabble-Master, or it will run away with the game. We all know that.
I mean, her hand's nothing but spells, it looks like, so I would have to imagine she has some sort of answer. If it's something like Anger of the Gods, that's great for her, but if she's only killing the Rabble-Master, these tokens are still problematic.
That's what makes the card so tough.
You can kill the Rabble-Master and still lose the leftovers.
Jadine going to sacrifice the Flooded Strand, go down to 13. One of the things about this Jeskai aggro deck is even though it does have good mana and very powerful cards, it does deal itself a little bit of damage between these Battlefield Forges, Shivan Reefs, and Fetch lands.
It plays a lot of pain lands.
Yeah.
Because it needs to have red mana on turn 1. Once you have Magma Spray in your sideboard, you had to be able to produce red mana on turn 1.
Hardcast Stoke the Flames, which she has to pay a life to cast, so she dealt herself just 2 points of damage that turn, cracking the Fetch land and then casting the Stoke the Flames.
Yep.
Putney going to draw very quickly, play a Wooded Foothills attack here for 3, and I don't know if he has a follow-up. Looks like he doesn't, so Jadine is getting out of this alive, maybe.
Yeah, his hand's at least 2 lands. I don't know what the third card is, but...
There is Mantis Rider. It's an attack for 3 in the air. Putney's going to go down to 14. He's going to sacrifice the Wooded Foothills to go down to 13 and get a land out of his deck. Yeah, he just needs like 1 big haymaker.
Yep, exactly. But a lot of his other draws are becoming less and less significant.
Yeah, card like Xenagos the Reveler, for example, very bad now in this position. But there are also heavy hitters like Sarkhan the Dragon Master right now. You know, Pelucranos, Stormbreath Dragon, Arbor Colossus, stuff like that. There are definitely some big hits, but there are also some big misses.
Yeah.
See what the draw is. Looks like a copy of Pelucranos. That's not bad.
Pelucranos is just a very good threat against these decks. They can't really play Chain of the Rocks anymore because there's just no mountains. And so 5 toughness is a big problem.
There is Pelucranos. Now the question, of course, is do you attack with these Goblin tokens or not? Because you're able to push through 2 points of damage, but you lose a creature, because there's a forest. It looks like the answer is no here for Putney, so Klomparens is going to untap and draw a card.
If his deck doesn't really have any sort of burn element to it, then I guess it has Stokes and Lightning Strikes potentially. It's close. I think it's probably correct to not attack there, but it's real close.
Attack for 3 in the air is going to put Putney down to 10 from the Mantis Rider. 2 mana here. Suspension Field's going to take care of Pelucranos. So now Putney's going to have to draw another good one as Mantis Rider is standing tall on this battlefield. It looked like it may have been a Stormbreath Dragon, but did not get a great look at it. And it does look like it is a Stormbreath. Now, of course, there is a card like Disdainful Stroke, which you have to be a little bit concerned about, but I think if you're Putney, not really a lot you can do if she has it.
Not a lot you can do, and no copies of it in Jadine 75.
But again, this is what kind of makes playing against this Jeskai aggro deck difficult, is because everyone's build is different.
Oh, there's a lot of room for variation. I mean, Jadine's list is very different from the one we saw Dave Shields playing in round 1. 4 dig through time versus 0 dig through time, and all the cascading consequences that kind of decision has. That's a lot of variation.
Stormbreath Dragon is placed onto this stack here by Putney, and it is going to resolve, and it looks like everything's going to come into the red zone now.
Well, the Stormbreath can't block, so.
A little surprised sitting back on defense, as you mentioned. Stormbreath can block.
Oh, excuse me, yes.
Yeah. The thing is, the Mantis Rider can't block the Stormbreath Dragon, yeah. So now I think that Putney maybe is turtling up a little bit here with the fear of, okay, if I attack with my Stormbreath Dragon, she attacks me for 3, I go down to 7, I get burned out here.
Well, it's pretty hard to get burned out from 7 against 4 mana.
Sure.
It needs to be something like land plus charm plus lightning strike or some other weird sequence.
Saw Ash Cloud Phoenix get cast and just pass the turn back. Sylvan Carry added to the draw. Do note Putney has necessary mana here to monstrosity the Stormbreath Dragon.
Maybe that was the plan here, is he's going to say, I'm going to attack her down below 7, sit back with my Stormbreath Dragon, monstrous it, the Mantis Rider can't block it, and that's a kill, even though it's unlikely Jadine kills on the way back. But now, the Phoenix complicates this significantly.
Sure. Kind of a tight spot here for Putney.
Yeah, now you're in the spot of, well, now what? Now what's the plan? You know, if you were willing to make that attack last turn, respecting the fact that Jadine's hand could just kill you, you got to keep going. You can't stop attacking.
You can't slow down, right? The carry added that he drew probably doesn't matter very much. Don't think he needs any more mana. And so the big question here is, am I supposed to monstrosity now, or am I supposed to wait? Of course, because when you're playing against a deck like Jeskai, they can have instant speed removal spells and stuff like that. So, you know, you want to maximize the amount that Stormbreath Dragon can do, and it looks like he's able to do that right now. So now he's able to deal some damage, and now Jadine's going to block. So the Phoenix is just going to block here. It's going to get turned face down, and Putney's going to pass the turn back, and basically hope he doesn't die this turn.
Yep. Which he was basically in this spot the last turn also.
Klomparens will draw a card. You see Suspension Field in the grip, but that's not going to do it against Stormbreath Dragon, given that it does have protection from white, and it looks like she's going to pack it up and pack it in. So Braden Putney's going to win game number 2 here, as Jadine's going to, of course, reveal the morph, as you do have to. Putney, of course, knew it was Ash Cloud Phoenix, but it is within the rules. So Putney does tie things up here, and we'll head to a third game. And now we can take a look at the sideboards here, which we weren't able to do before. You see Jadine is immediately going back to the box and changing what she has. So what is she probably looking at here?
Well, she has 2 copies of Prognostic Sphinx in her sideboard.
She actually just reached both of them.
Yeah, that's not surprising. If they weren't in her deck to begin with, actually, it's hard to see exactly what's being swapped in and out here if those Prognostic Sphinxes are coming in. 2 copies of Magma Spray, 2 Negates, a Harness by Fords, 3 Suspension Fields, 3 Anger of the Gods, 2 Hushwing Gryphs to go along with the 1 in the main deck, and then the 2 Prognostic Sphinxes. So, I mean, if she wants a blocker that lines up better against Stormbreath Dragon, then Prognostic Sphinx would be the card, but I don't know if that's how she's sideboarding.
Take Take a look here at Putney's sideboard here really quick. 2 copies of Cetessan Tactics, 2 Unravel the Aether, a Chandra Power Master, 2 Nylea's Disciple, 2 Xenagos the Reveler, 2 Harnessed by Force, 2 Anger of the Gods, a Xenagos God of Revels, and an additional copy of Stormbreath Dragon. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Dragon after sideboard brings him up to the full 4. Where we go from there is actually kind of interesting. You know, Cetessan Tactics, is a card that can play a role in this matchup depending on how the game goes.
It's really risky to play something like Cetessan Tactics against a deck that doesn't need to generate that many creatures and can also play at instant speed against the tactics with things like Lightning Strikes and Jeskai Charms and so forth. So there's spots where Cetessan Tactics can be good, but I think it's very dangerous to bring in.
I think you can say the same thing about Anger of the Gods, too. There are spots where that card will be good since it does clean up Goblin Rebel Master, Seeker of the Way, Mantis Rider, but there will also be spots where it kills your mana accelerants.
I think Anger of the Gods is still worth having in, especially now that you've seen Ashcloud Phoenix as well. I think there's enough going on.
Anyway, loves the Phoenix.
Flying is very good right now.
Yeah. Flying and the fact that it doesn't really die either.
It's tough to kill.
Yeah. Pretty nice card. Again, you mentioned that Klomparens did top 8 with this deck a couple weeks ago at our first Open Series event with Concept Arcure when we were in New Jersey. A more creature-dense build than the other ones.
I think that her initial build was much more of a Seeker of the Way build. When you have things like Titan Strength and God's Will, you can have some really powerful turns. So Seeker of the Way is still good in this list. There's plenty of spells, obviously, but she's not as all in on it as she was in New Jersey.
Yeah, does she have the God's Ways or the Titan Strengths?
No, none of that.
Just fully gone? Okay.
3 Mammoth, 4 Lightning Strike, 4 Stoke the Flames, 4 Jeskai Charm, 2 Banishing Light, and 2 Sarkhan is the spell slot.
No Dig Through Time is a little curious.
Well, once you add more and more creatures to the list, your Dig Through Times get worse and worse.
That's true. That's true.
To me, it's either 4 or 0. Those are the only numbers that make sense.
I agree with that. I don't like a 2 split.
Yeah,
if you're playing digs, you should get them all in there.
Right.
No argument there.
I can buy 0 and I can buy 4, but I can't buy 1, 2, or 3.
I don't want to buy 0.
Right.
You cannot sell me 0 Dig Through Times.
It's the second most logical number after 4.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah.
This is true. Klomparens going to be on the play here for game number 3, taking a look at her opening hand right away. See, Putney has at least a Rabble Master in his grip, so we'll see if either player wants to keep this hand. Looks like the answer is yes. So Temple of Triumph is where Klomparens will start. Take a look at the top card. You can already see she has a Mantis Rider in her hand. Top card's going to stay on top before passing the turn back over to Putney. Putney will play a Forest. No mana accelerant. So we go back to Klomparens, who will draw and play a Flooded Strand before passing the turn back. A Mountain. And you can see that Putney has a Lightning Strike at the ready for whatever creature.
Yeah, both players just kind of staring at each other and saying go for now.
Yeah. Flooded Strand's going to get sacrificed here. Klomparens going to go down to 19.
And it is tough playing these threats into open mana because of Rabble Master, especially Jadine's deck with all sorts of haste creatures, you don't want to be tapped out and taking the first Mantis Rider hit or the first Rabble Master hit.
This is actually part of the reason that Brad Nelson and Team Revolution actually moved towards playing Hordling Outburst, is because this exact situation came up a lot where, okay, I'm going to play a Rabble Master, I'm going to play a Mantis Rider, you're going to kill it, and you're going to be able to move along appropriately.
Yeah.
And Hordling Outburst blows up that entire plan of, go ahead and kill one of my goblins, I guess, as Jadine does show off a Magma Jet on accident there. Now she'll play a land. It's a Mountain. And I do wonder if she'll cast one of these threats, assuming that Putney does have a copy of Lightning Strike. And she's not going to play anything.
Yeah, she's anticipating that Putney's going to cooperate, play something on his third turn, and then the coast will be clear for at least 1 hit.
Then you get your shot in, and then you've kind of got them off of the curve that they want to play. And I think that's actually really important, right? Because if you play, let's say Putney plays something and then Jadine plays Mantis Rider, Putney has to probably spend his turn lightning striking and not be efficient with his mana.
The problem is that Jadine's shown the Magma Spray, so I think Putney casting the Rabble Master is off the table for this
Probably
turn.
not going to happen.
Probably not going to happen.
A touch awkward. And Putney does have the Rabble Master in the grip. You also see the Lightning Strike there. I believe a copy of Sylvan Caryatid, and Nylea's Disciple hanging out too. So had Klomparens not leaked away that little bit of information, maybe this turn ends up working out great for her. Yeah, now it's just going to be a Caryatid. And just pass the turn back now. Klomparens does have the option of just saying, okay, I'll magma spray you, or Magma Jet you, excuse me, and scry, but that's not going to happen. So There's a Plains. This will probably be Mantis Rider. Yep, and this will be an attack for 3 in the air. So she gets her shot with it.
Yep. But now Putney may get his kind of tempo-breaking turn here of, cast Sarkin, kill your creature, or cast a Rabble Master and Lightning Strike your Mantis Rider. These are good exchanges.
Yeah, pull ahead that way.
Yeah.
You can see the strike and the mountain in his hand, so because of Caryatid last turn, able to jump up the mana a little bit here. There is the strike. There's the mountain. That's the Rabble Master. That's going to get Magma Sprayed so fast. Absolutely not, Klomparens says.
Now the ball is back in her court. Does she have some sort of follow-up?
Well, Rabble Master isn't bad. That's going to come in. Here's a Goblin token. There's an attack for 1. Putney's going to go down to 16. I'm just going to pass the turn back. So now the ball's back in Putney's court, and we'll see what he can do with it.
But it can't be just, I don't think his play here can just be play a blocker, because then we go to Jadine's turn with all of her mana and all of her cards in hand. His responses need to be answering Jadine's board, I feel like. Even if his play is something risky like play Sarkin minus and hope that that's good enough, I think he's better served doing that than just casting a blocker and hoping that it's good.
I think casting a blocker hoping it's good is just unlikely.
It's just, what's Jadine's hand like? And you also know that she has a Magma Jet too.
Mm-hmm.
So that rules out some class of blockers to begin with.
2 mana here for Putney. Another copy of Sylvan Caryatid. That's a second creature, and you can see he does have a copy of Stoke the Flames in hand. So does have the ability to actually convoke this on the Rabble Master if he'd like. Klomparens will sacrifice a Flooded Strand on the upkeep here. Go down to 18 in the process. See what land she wants to search up. It will be a basic Plains. And after she does shuffle and present, she will of course draw a card, and we'll see what she's able to find on this turn of the game, and she can continue to push her advantage with this Rabble Master. And how Putney wants to use to Stoke the Flames if he does at all.
I imagine he does. I mean, the only harm can come by allowing a Rabble Master to go unchecked for another turn.
Like before we get to the attack step, here is a Stoke the Flames to take care of the Rabble Master. There's an attack for 1. And there's a Plains, and just pass the turn back. Again, that's her only land for the turn, as she did sacrifice the Flooded Strand at the beginning of the turn to get a Plains out of her deck. So just has to pass the turn back here with 6 mana. A couple of cards in hand, as here's Sarkin.
Although I think that's a spot on the previous turn where Braden needed to go ahead and stoke in the upkeep, because if Jadine draws a negate or a disdainful stroke,
bad news.
It's all sorts of bad news.
Sarkin gonna come down, elevator goes up to 5, and it's an attack for 4 in the air.
Braden, though, has done a very good job of, managing this game on a strategic level.
I think so.
He's timed his spells very well, and now he has a Sarkin on a pretty good defensive board.
Magma Jet's going to get fired off here by Jadine. I think she's just wondering, do I redirect the damage over to Sarkin, or do I try to start working on your life total and bring you from 15 to 13? That's a tough decision to make. Well, it looks like Sarkin's going to go down to 3. Scry 2 here from the Jet.
I think with Braden at 15, it's not really realistic to burn out. Also, Jadine's deck doesn't really have the same burn elements as, say, McLaren's deck from the Pro Tour. Not only does she have fewer burn spells, she has no copies of Dig Through Time, so she can't really play that kind of game plan.
Yeah, can't chain into the burn spells with Dig. Yeah, and actually the way that this ends up working out, this is going to go... I believe the Sarkin should go down to 3. But maybe she just went upstairs with the Jet. We'll get clarification on that. Yeah, look like she just went upstairs with the Jet. So this looks like she's going to attempt a burnout strategy here. Here's a Mantis Rider. She's hoping this is good for 3 damage. So here's the attack. And that button is going to go down to 10. Putney going to draw.
And you can see Nylea's Disciple.
It's going to mess everything up.
It's going to mess this whole sequence up.
Sarkin going to take it down to go after the Mantis Rider. Here's 4 mana. Yep, there's a Disciple. Again, because Jadine's deck is so focused on creatures and burn, counter spells are very unlikely from her.
Yeah.
And so that means the Disciple is going to be good to go.
Only 2 negates in her 75.
Disciple will gain 4 life, and this is going to kind of mess up the race here for Klomparens. As Putney does go up, to 14. Now Sarkin's going to bite the dust from a burn spell. Jadine will draw a card.
But once you get into this stage of the game, you know, draw step to draw step, Braden's deck is so much more powerful.
Especially when he has a backup Sarkin, and you're wasting your resources on that Sarkin, and he says, well, I have another one, so it doesn't really matter. Play this. And Jadine had to use a Stoke the Flames on a Sarkin that was at 2.
Right.
That was the other thing, too. Now Sarkin's going to go back up to 5, attack her for 4, and now she's got to deal with this Planeswalker threat again. And realistically, she has to hope that Putney just bricks off a bunch.
Even then, I mean, Jadine may not be able to beat the board from this stage.
Yep. There's a mountain. Klomparens just going to have to pass the turn back over to Putney. Putney's going to untap and draw, and I believe his last card in his hand is a copy of Praetor's Claws. He's going to play a land. It is a combo with Sarkin. There is a chump block. And this is a Praetor's Claws. That is going to do it. Braden Putney is going to win this match over Jadine Klomparens. 2-1, and for Putney and his Greater Monsters deck, a deck that we haven't seen a ton of. It doesn't really get all that much press given what happened at the Pro Tour. It's a pretty nice win for him.
I think this is sideboarding plan here, and the matchup against just